So if you recall the 2015-2016 Democratic primary, you remember it as a contest between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Martin O'Malley, of course, was briefly part of it, but it really was a Clinton-Sanders affair, with Clinton representing the party establishment, the neoliberal Democrats, and Bernie Sanders representing the grassroots, young people, progressives, both inside and outside the Democratic Party. And Elizabeth Warren was sort of caught in the middle. A lot of people wanted her to do the right thing, myself included, and affirmatively endorse Bernie Sanders. She was clearly an ally of Bernie Sanders on many, if not all, issues, and she was clearly to the left of most of the Democratic Party, both in the Senate, but also just within the party structure. But she didn't. She didn't endorse Bernie, and I think that was a huge mistake on her part. And I feel she didn't endorse Bernie because she felt it would be disloyal to Hillary Clinton. She didn't want to endorse a man in the contest where a woman had a chance to make history, and she didn't want to give further credence to the fact that Bernie Sanders was the only representative of progressive values in the race, which would have hurt Hillary Clinton. Maybe she wouldn't have lost, but it would have been another notch against Hillary Clinton in that very, very intense contest. Further, many people wanted Warren to run in 2016. They wanted her to be in that contest. And many people suggest she didn't run, again, out of deference to Hillary Clinton, saying that she didn't want to take away the support from Hillary Clinton and her chance of becoming the Democratic nominee. That seems like Warren, despite having major disagreements with Clinton, did all she could to help her in the process, or to at least not hurt her, to not make an affirmative endorsement of her opponent. But if we look at some breaking news, we can see that Hillary Clinton is not repaying that loyalty in any way. Hillary Clinton has just come out and said that Elizabeth Warren's plan for Medicare for All is impractical, won't work, is disruptive, will put at risk the chances of preserving the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. And basically Clinton took the Joe Biden line, which is that we need a public option alongside the ACA, and we need to kind of focus on that rather than go all in on a fairy tale, quote unquote, Medicare for All plan, which is basically the same argument Clinton made against Bernie Sanders in 2015-2016, which was to say that a Medicare for All plan would never ever happen. It's never going to happen. Bernie Sanders is selling you a dream. He's not working with reality. And that's what Clinton is effectively saying to Elizabeth Warren. And again, Elizabeth Warren did everything she could to shelter Clinton in 2016, to not attack her by endorsing Bernie Sanders, to not attack her by actually running herself. And this is how Clinton repays her. It's a really scummy look, I have to say, on Hillary Clinton's part. But there's a bigger message here. And this is one of Warren's weaknesses vis-a-vis Bernie Sanders. I'm a Bernie Sanders guy, but I have a lot of respect and admiration for Elizabeth Warren. But where she's weak is that she's too faithful to the Democratic Party establishment. She really is to the left of most of them in many significant ways. But she has this erroneous belief that if you reason and dialogue with people like Hillary Clinton and other neoliberal Democrats, that they will come along with you, that they will back progressive values and policies and worldviews, and that if you're nice with them and you don't step on their toes, and that's what Warren did, she didn't step on Hillary Clinton's toes in 2016, that they will be on your side eventually. But what we see is that neoliberals will take your friendship, but they won't reciprocate it. They will stab you in the back when it serves their interest. And here's what Elizabeth Warren doesn't really get, that there are fundamental class interests and ideological divides between progressives like her and Sanders and the neoliberal wing of the party. And there are big differences between her and Sanders. But if we were to kind of say, Warren and Sanders are genuinely good people with progressive values, but much of the Democratic Party leadership isn't. So Elizabeth Warren is wrong when she thinks that Hillary Clinton can be reasoned with, because Hillary Clinton, in her support of big capital, in her support of a Medicare system that leaves millions uninsured, isn't being irrational. She's serving her own rational class interests, which are to preserve the social and political and economic status quo. It's sort of like what happened a couple days ago, where Elizabeth Warren had a disagreement with Bill Gates, and she was like, hey, Bill, we should talk about tax policy. I'd love to be able to convince you of my plan, and on and on and on. And that looked good from an optics perspective, but I actually think Warren believes that. And if she does, it's rather naive. Billionaires, the neoliberal elite, they are not irrational. They are perfectly rational with regard to what their interests are. And those interests are fundamentally different from the interests of regular working and middle class people, which is why Bernie Sanders takes this open language of class conflict in a way Warren doesn't. And you can see it. Bernie Sanders endorsed Hillary Clinton. He did his duty as the runner-up to try to get her elected. That was the right thing to do. But Bernie never showed deference to Clinton. He never showed fealty to her. He never showed this sort of required loyalty to her as the matriarch of the neoliberal wing of the Democratic Party. He very much took a clear, calculated stance. Warren needed to do the same, and she failed when she effectively endorsed Clinton by not endorsing Sanders, and she failed when she didn't seek the seat herself, knowing that she offered distinct differences from Hillary Clinton and distinct differences from Bernie as sort of running in between the two. For all of that, she was repaid with a stab in the back as Hillary Clinton effectively endorsed the Obama-Biden healthcare status quo rather than back another progressive woman, quote unquote. Remember in 2015, 2016, how so much was made from Team Clinton about how any woman backing Bernie Sanders was effectively setting back the cause of feminism, and on and on and on. And we heard that over and over again, that it was almost a crime for a woman to endorse somebody other than Hillary Clinton. And yet in this contest, where Elizabeth Warren may not be the only woman running, but she's the only woman with a chance at winning, Hillary Clinton has just stabbed her in the back in order to support the policy framework in Joe Biden. Right? That's the reality. So for the Clintonites, they will use feminism to guilt people into giving them support when it suits them. But when other progressive women need solidarity and support, the knives come out and they plunge him in the back. That's what Clinton just did. Elizabeth Warren, if she wants to win this contest and transform America, and she still has a chance to do that, she needs to realize that billionaires and neoliberal elites, they don't play the game fair. She just learned that lesson the hard way today.